Well, here on Times Now, this is our campaign, our pledge, our commitment to the people. For us, it's always going to be you, the viewers, the people of India first. Unfortunately, for our netas, well, clearly not so. They have been continuing to flout COVID protocols despite the horror which has explicitly gripped the entire nation. From Maharashtra to Uttar Pradesh to Karnataka, netas have put their political interests over the lives of people like us. In fact, in the very latest, Karnataka BJP minister Sri Ramulu as well as MLA Somashekar Reddy, all of them attended a super spreader event as well. So let me go across to Imran Khan, who's joining us from Bengaluru. These are responsible people, Imran. They are the lawmakers. A BJP minister, he's part of those who are supposed to be making laws, not breaking them, especially when it comes to public health. Why can't they stop pandering for votes?
Well, absolutely. In fact, the political parties in Karnataka, whether it's a Congress or BJP, are behaving irresponsibly there. They themselves are giving out statements that there are rules and regulations. But when it comes to implementing, they are the worst violators now. Look at you have here Transport Minister and also MLA from Bellary, Somashekar Reddy, violating the COVID protocol set by their own state government. This is for a birthday party of Janardhan Reddy, this infamous mining baron, and yesterday we saw CM's own political secretary violating it. And of course there is Congress's Padyatra, where hundreds of thousands of people are participating and even daring the state government to take any action if they have the guts to. This is DK Shivakumar unwilling to undergo COVID tests, even as two of the senior leaders during Padyatra, they turned positive. There is MLC CM Ibrahim and also HM Revana. So despite the common man being sufferer here, the common man was punished, there is no accountability, there is no action on this political netas cutting across party lines. There is no action against them in Karnataka, and people are just mute spectators that the kind of crowds they're witnessing. Whereas in Bangalore we have seen that there are vehicles are being seized. More than 1,500 vehicles were seized in the last weekend lockdown, but no vehicle seized, no action, nobody taken into preventive custody in the Padyatra. Very clearly showing that cutting across political lines, there is sort of understanding that they will not touch and they will not. Only a token FIR has been registered, but no one has been arrested, no one has been picked up. All these laws, all these rules and restrictions, it seems only for common man here.
And what's unfortunate, when Times Now's Imran Khan confronted them, asked them, do lives of the people of Karnataka mean absolutely nothing to them? Well, this is how the Congress netas, who are still continuing with a 10-day Padyatra, remember today is the third day where there have been zero masking, zero social distancing. What's worse, there are also visuals of DK Shivakumar sitting there with scores of school children around him, posing for the perfect photo op. Is it worth it to put our children at risk? Watch these apathetic, defiant answers coming in.
ज़्यादा मास्क नहीं पहनना चाहिए, मैं बता रहा हूँ, एज MBBS डॉक्टर बता रहा हूँ, मैं विधायक के तौर पर नहीं कर रहा हूँ, एज डॉक्टर के ज़्यादा मास्क मत लगाएं। थर्ड फेज जो है ना, वो ज़्यादा पैनिक होने की आवश्यकता नहीं है, मैं बार-बार बता रहा हूँ।
ನನ್ನ ಬಂದ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು ಕೇಳ್ತಾನಲ್ಲ, ನನಗೆ ಈಗ ಏನಾದ್ರು ಸಿಂಪ್ಟಮ್ಸ್ ಇದೆಯಾ, ಬನ್ನಿ ನಡೀರಿ, ಬನ್ನಿ ನನ್ನ ಜೊತೆ ಕರ್ಕೊಂಡು ಹೋಗ್ತೀನಿ 15 ಕಿಲೋಮೀಟರ್. ನನಗೆಲ್ಲೋ ಒಂದು ಚೂರು ಸ್ಟ್ರೈನ್ ಆಗಿದೆ. ಸಂಗಮದಲ್ಲಿ ಸರ್ಕಾರದಲ್ಲಿರುವಂತಹ ಬಹುತೇಕ ಸಚಿವರುಗಳು ನಿಮ್ಮ ಪಾದಯಾತ್ರೆಯನ್ನು ಟೀಕೆ ಮಾಡಿದ ಜೊತೆಗೆ ಕರೋನಾ ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಆದರೆ ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ನೇರ ಕಾರಣನೇ ಕಾಂಗ್ರೆಸ್ ನಾಯಕರಾಗ್ತಾರೆ ನೋಡಿರಿ.
The Padyatra is not a rally. Padyatra is people walking, and we have made that very clear from day one that as far as the Padyatra is concerned, Padyatra is a walk in favor of the Meghna Deka project, and that is something which we are not going to give up.
I find it very hard to believe my ears what I can just hear. Remember, these are responsible, so-called responsible lawmakers of India. Some of them going to the extent of saying ज़्यादा mask नहीं पहनना चाहिए. Others saying पदयात्रा तो rally नहीं होती. It is just people walking. Joining us today on the show, Tuhin Sinha, spokesperson of the BJP. Tanvi Pruthi is also joining us, a political analyst. Tanvi Pruthi, I'll come to you first. Do lives of people mean absolutely nothing? When it comes to votes, we can't even say, is there a price, a cost which has been put on our children's lives, because it merely will boil down to appeasement and votes?
Absolutely, I totally agree, and that is why I am a strong supporter of postponing our elections. I see no reason why during these crises, when our healthcare system, our doctors are sitting on strike, and we are the wave 3, the rise is inevitable, and still our politicians are telling us about lockdowns and people to suffer economic losses by sitting at home, while on the other hand they are on the roads rallying for votes and conducting their election campaign. I think it is very irresponsible on the part of Election Commission also, and strict action needs to be taken against these politicians. I think courts should intervene right now to make sure that these super spreaders rally do not happen. And in this, I think all political parties together are to be made accountable.
Well, it's unfortunate, even though there are calls coming in, warnings from the Supreme Court, Election Commission. Tuhin Sinha, if I can come to you, perhaps you can help us understand why a BJP minister, Sri Ramulu, MLA, Somashekar Reddy, all of them were part of this super spreader event. Perhaps you can explain better.
Well, any COVID protocol violation, irrespective of which party it comes from, is condemnable, and I think action should be taken against the concerned minister by the party unit, by the CM of the state. Because if you remember, we were the first people, we were the first party way back in July, August 2020, before the Bihar elections. We had suggested an all-out digital campaign. And in fact, in Uttarakhand, before the Election Commission announced a moratorium on campaign, Uttarakhand had already stopped campaign. Now, you need to understand, where do these politicians...
But Tuhin Sinha, I'll ask you a simple question. You said that it's condemnable. It's not enough to merely condemn. Your party is in power in Karnataka. For 10 days, they intend having this Padyatra. You going to allow them? Will you allow them? Today is the third day. Why haven't you taken action? Who's going to take action?
Like I said, I am speaking on national issues. You can get a spokesperson of Karnataka to speak specifically on what has happened. And I told, and I've said it on your show, that I believe the CM of the state should initiate.
It's your party. Why aren't you stopping this?
No, if there are better debates I've been on time. So please allow me to complete, please. So,
this is not important to you, Tuhin Sinha. I'm sorry, it is. There are children who are sitting there. I'm asking someone who's the spokesperson of BJP. Why is the BJP allowing this? You are saying it's not relevant.
Of course, I started by saying that irrespective of which party is violating a action should be taken. But like I said, I won't be able to know the details because you will need to get somebody from Karnataka for that. I am speaking in a more generic sense, and when pan-India, whatever violations need to be taken, somewhere the accountability needs to be fixed.
Okay,
and
so
over here,
on the larger role,
again,
you will say that there should be no violations, but when it comes to specific cases, you are not going to answer on that. Tanvi Pruthi, that has been one of the biggest problems here on Times Now. And it's not just one party. Here on Times Now, we are getting you super spreader events by the Congress party, of Samajwadi party, of several other parties which have been holding these super spreader events in Punjab, in Uttar Pradesh, in Karnataka. Tanvi Pruthi, it's however very difficult to get any of the politicians to take accountability.
That is very true. It is very difficult, but the onus is always on the government that is at the center. You can't blame the state. To a state ka spokesperson aake isko defend karega. You are in power right now. You are at the center. You decide on what is to be done. If you decide that there will be no election rallies and election will be postponed, that will happen. If you can announce lockdowns for hotels, for restaurants, for other things, why can't you announce lockdowns for rallies?
That is a very simple question. People like you, me, we can't go out and have a dinner because there is lockdown in all the restaurants. That's fine. We will accept it. But this is allowed?
Of course, it should, wherever it is happening, the state unit of the party needs to be concerned. But allow me to complete. When you have a star violator like Rahul Gandhi who skips quarantine, you're conveniently missing that.
No, we don't.
State units of Congress
here on Times Now, each and every super spreader event and rally has been highlighted that.
When you have a star
and you know about it because Tuhin Sinha, you've been part of those debates as well.
Across the country will be emboldened to do that. The BJP has always taken a more responsible stand, but yes, whatever individual violations are happening, whether in Karnataka or in any other part of the country, needs to be condemned, and the state unit needs to take appropriate action against those violators.
Well, we'll have to wait and see. This Padyatra in Karnataka under BJP's regime, this is a Padyatra by Congress. Will first Congress behave responsibility, call off this Padyatra? Two of the netas have already tested positive after they attended it. So far, they have not. Will the BJP also cancel this Padyatra? There are very clear warnings from the Supreme Court as well as the Election Commission. Even that hasn't happened, which is why we here on Times Now are saying that it's time to shame the COVID cheats, because people like you and me, the Janta, are forced to accept the curbs, the norms which we are ready to accept. But for the Netas, there seem to be different goalposts. Thank you, however, for joining us here on the show for our panelists. This is going to be a top focus story here on Times Now. For the timing, however, a short break. Don't go anywhere.